God of War 3. God of War 3 wasn't just a sequel, it was a brutal crescendo to one of gaming's most legendary sagas. From the very first moment when Kratos climbs Mount Olympus on the back of the Titan Gaia, you realize this game isn't here to impress you, it's here to dominate you. Every scene screams power, scale, and cinematic madness. The camera work was revolutionary for its time. Massive, wide shots of gods clashing with titans, then sudden zooms into visceral combat where you could feel the weight of every hit. Kratos' rage, his pain, his thirst for revenge, it all came through in every strike. By the time you rip Zeus apart with your bare hands, you're not just playing a game, you're witnessing the end of an era. This is what epic truly means in gaming. Batman Arkham City. If Arkham Asylum made you feel like Batman, Arkham City made you believe you were him. Rocksteady expanded every aspect, from the fluid combat to the haunting open world filled with danger and secrets. Gliding over the snow-dusted rooftops of Gotham while the Joker taunts you through the radio felt like living in a comic book noir. The combat, though simple to learn, had an infinite skill ceiling. Chaining perfect combos and counters made you feel like a true predator of the night. But it wasn't just gameplay. The story dug deep into Bruce Wayne's duality, the line between hero and obsession. It's dark, stylish, perfectly paced, and still one of the greatest superhero games ever made. Arkham City didn't just define the action genre, it became a benchmark for storytelling and atmosphere in gaming.
Max Payne 3. When Rockstar took over Max Payne 3, they didn't just continue the story. They reinvented what cinematic action could be. Gone were the atomic panels and snow-covered alleys of New York, replaced by the bright chaos of São Paulo's favelas and the nightclubs of the ultra-rich. Max was older, broken, addicted, and haunted by everything he lost. And yet, he fought like a man who had nothing left to lose. The slow-motion shootouts were poetry and violence. Bullets cutting through glass, blood splattering in rhythm with the soundtrack. Rockstar's camera work was genius. One continuous take from scene to scene, no load screens, just pure motion and energy. Every gunfight told a story of desperation, pain, and grim determination. It's gritty, it's tragic, it's stylish, and it's still one of the best third-person shooters ever made. Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 was more than just a game. It was a cultural event. Rockstar created a living, breathing Los Santos, where chaos and storytelling blended perfectly. Playing as three different protagonists, Michael, Franklin, and Trevor, gave players three perspectives on crime, greed, and insanity. The switching mechanic was groundbreaking, letting you jump from a sniper tower to a car chase in seconds. The heists were cinematic masterpieces, perfectly scripted yet endlessly replayable. Every mission felt like a Hollywood blockbuster, every explosion choreographed to perfection. And beyond the story, the world itself was a playground. Beaches, deserts, skyscrapers, all filled with life and detail. Even today, more than a decade later, GTA 5 still defines what open-world action can be: limitless, immersive, and unforgettable.
Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of Mordor came out of nowhere and changed everything. Monolith took the world of Tolkien and turned it into one of the most addictive action games ever made. The combat was fluid and brutal, inspired by Arkham and Assassin's Creed, but faster, heavier, and more tactical. What really made it legendary was the Nemesis system. Orcs who remembered your battles, your defeats, your kills. They grew stronger, developed rivalries, and hunted you down. No two playthroughs were the same. Combine that with a tragic story of revenge and possession, and you get a dark, cinematic masterpiece. It felt like living inside a Lord of the Rings movie, only bloodier, angrier, and far more personal. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. The Phantom Pain wasn't just a stealth action game, it was Hideo Kojima's ultimate sandbox of creativity. Set in vast deserts and jungles, it gave you complete freedom in how to approach every mission. Go loud, go silent, go chaotic, the choice was yours. Every encounter felt alive, thanks to Hideo Kojima's insane attention to detail. Soldiers remembered your tactics, bases adapted, and time of day changed everything. The gameplay loop was near perfect. infiltrate, improvise, escape. The story was cryptic, emotional, and philosophical, full of Kojima's trademark surrealism, and the controls, flawless. Every shot, every movement had purpose. Even unfinished, MGS5 was years ahead of its time, a game that proved action could be intelligent, tactical, and cinematic all at once.
Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Naughty Dog proved once again they're the masters of cinematic storytelling. Uncharted 4 took everything great about the series and turned it into a personal, mature adventure. Nathan Drake's final journey wasn't just about treasure. It was about legacy, love, and the price of obsession. The set pieces were insane, from the collapsing clock tower to the jeep chase through Madagascar. But beyond the spectacle, it was the human moments that made it special. Quiet conversations, emotional flashbacks, and the feeling that this is truly the end of an era. The combat was tight, the visuals stunning, and the pacing pure Hollywood magic. It was both a farewell and a triumph, the perfect send-off for gaming's favorite treasure hunter. Nier Automata. Nier Automata is one of those rare games that mixes style, emotion, and philosophy into something unforgettable. At first, it looks like a flashy hack and slash about androids fighting machines, but the deeper you go, the more it breaks you, mentally and emotionally. The combat, crafted by Platinum Games, is lightning fast and incredibly fluid, yet every battle feels melancholic. The world is empty but meaningful, filled with haunting music and broken remnants of humanity. And then there's the story, about purpose, identity, and what it truly means to be alive. By the time you reach the final ending, you realize it wasn't just an action game. It was a reflection of life, death, and the endless loop between them.
Spider-Man. This was the moment when being a superhero finally felt right. Spider-Man captured the essence of the character. Swinging through Manhattan was pure joy, fluid and cinematic. The city itself was alive, people cheering you on, police radios buzzing, and the skyline glowing at sunset. Combat was a dance, fast, acrobatic, and dynamic, with gadgets and finishers that looked straight out of a movie. But what truly made it special was Peter Parker's story. It wasn't just about saving the city, it was about responsibility, loss, and sacrifice. Insomniac nailed the tone, funny, heartfelt, and emotional. For many gamers, this became the definitive Spider-Man experience, surpassing even the films. Sekiro. Shadows die twice. If Dark Souls tested your patience, Sekiro tested your precision. This was From Software at their most ruthless. No grinding, no shields, no mercy. Every encounter was a duel of timing and focus. Parrying wasn't just defense, it was an art form. The setting, feudal Japan infused with dark fantasy, was breathtaking. From the snowy peaks to burning castles. The story of Wolf, a shinobi bound by loyalty and revenge, hit hard. Every death taught you humility. Every victory felt like triumph over yourself. It wasn't just about skill, it was about mastery. Sekiro didn't care how many times you failed. It demanded perfection, and that's what made it unforgettable. Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima was pure samurai cinema brought to life. Every frame looked like an Akira Kurosawa film. Wind blowing through fields, cherry blossoms falling, and duels under the rain. Jin Sakai's journey from noble samurai to vengeful ghost was a powerful transformation. The combat was elegant yet deadly. Sword clashes, standoffs, and stealth all blended perfectly. Exploration was guided not by waypoints, but by nature, the wind, the birds, the world itself. It wasn't just about fighting Mongols, it was about honor, sacrifice, and identity. Few games captured beauty and brutality in such harmony. Ghost of Tsushima made every player feel like a true warrior poet. Resident Evil Village mixed gothic horror with blockbuster action in the best way possible. Ethan Winter's nightmare through the cursed village was both terrifying and thrilling. The first-person perspective brought you closer to the madness. Every creak, every whisper made your pulse race. Lady Dimitrescu became an instant icon, but the whole cast of villains was unforgettable. What stood out was the balance. Intense gunfights, smart puzzles, and cinematic storytelling. Capcom managed to blend the tension of classic horror with the energy of a modern action shooter. It was haunting, gorgeous, and addictively replayable. A horror experience that made you feel powerful, not just scared. God of War Ragnarok. Ragnarok was more than a sequel. It was a myth retold through raw emotion. Kratos, once a god of vengeance, was now a father trying to break the cycle of violence. Storytelling reached a new level. Quieter moments between battles felt just as powerful as the boss fights. Combat evolved, smoother and more tactical, letting you feel every strike of the Leviathan axe. The world design was breathtaking, realms filled with life, tragedy, and prophecy. This was an epic about destiny, but also about choice. Few action games combine heart and scale like this. Ragnarok didn't just end a saga, it proved that even gods can change. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Star Wars Jedi Survivor took everything from the first game and refined it into something bigger, deeper, and more personal. Cal Kestis returned as a confident, battle-hardened Jedi, facing both Imperial forces and his own doubts. Combat reached new heights. Dual blades, force powers, acrobatics, all perfectly balanced. The worlds were vast and alive, full of secrets and cinematic moments. Respawn captured the magic of Star Wars. Hope, rebellion, destiny, while keeping it grounded in character and emotion. This wasn't just a Star Wars story, it was your Jedi journey, filled with growth, loss, and redemption. Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade was a surprise hit, sleek, fast, and unapologetically stylish. Mixing sci-fi and Korean action flair, it delivered some of the smoothest combat in years. Eve, the protagonist, was fierce and graceful. Every dodge, every slash felt precise. Game blended cinematic storytelling with intense boss battles that pushed your reflexes to the limit. Its post-apocalyptic world was beautiful yet tragic, with haunting music and emotional undertones. Stellar Blade stood out because it wasn't afraid to be bold. Part anime, part Souls-like, all heart. It reminded players that new IPs can still shock the industry when done right. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Assassin's Creed Shadows finally took the series where fans have been begging to go for over a decade, to feudal Japan. And it was absolutely worth the wait. Ubisoft nailed the atmosphere. The cherry blossoms, samurai duels, shadowy temples, and burning villages. It all looks breathtaking. You play as two heroes, Naoe, a stealthy shinobi assassin, and Yasuke, a powerful samurai warrior. Their stories intertwine beautifully, showing two sides of the same era, loyalty and rebellion, honor and blood. The gameplay feels like the perfect balance between classic stealth and modern open-world design, sneaking through tall grass with the katana ready, performing silent kills under the moonlight. It's everything fans dreamed of. The sword combat is heavy, realistic, and brutally satisfying. And the world? Alive and reactive, with dynamic weather and day-night cycles that actually affect how you approach missions.